Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video of World of Warships. And today's topic is about the first coal investment that you can do as a new player in World of Warships. And I will pretty much narrow it down to like a couple of ships out there so that if you are looking to purchase those coal ships in the army, or at least a single coal ship in the army, you might not get confused because there are variety of coal ships. There are so much diversity, starting from the cruiser, battleship, destroyer, and even aircraft carrier, and even submarine class that is available to purchase as a coal ship in the army. So it's going to be very difficult for you to decide which is the best coal ship for you. So I would just simply narrate down for you, and the reasons I will also explain that why I have chosen this coal ship for you. And I will be explaining every single ship, like a destroyer, cruiser, battleship, aircraft carrier, every ship from every class, so that you will have some good flexibility in just figure it out that this ship might be good for you after you learn the strengths and weaknesses, which I will explain in this video. So keep watching this video, and if you are new to the channel, I make every day, almost every day, World of Warship videos, and your subscription would help me a lot. And so that, with that said, let's talk about our first ship that you should pick for coal resource in a destroyer, and that is going to be the tier 9 British destroyer Somme. Now Somme actually is not available in the armory, okay? It's going to be a bit confusing because you might not see Somme in the armory for direct purchase. Instead, you have this way to buy the Somme. Let me show you quickly. This is from the collections that you have to spend in coal on containers to get this destroyer, okay? I will just quickly showcase you that how you can do it, and then I will explain the Somme, okay? As you can see, I am in the armory in the container section, which will give you access to Battle of Somme container that is also available for 3000 coal. Now you have to purchase quite a lot of these containers to get Somme, which you will clearly see. This collection needs to be completed in order to get Somme, and once you spend some decent amount of coal, it's going to be more than 200k, I'm quite sure of that, because you will be getting one collection item of the Battle of Somme, which will lead you to a destroyer, okay? And if I can show you quickly the profile and the collection section where the Battle of Somme is going to be available, let me show you that quickly. As you can see, this is the Battle of Somme collection. Once you get the container and you open it, it will give you one element of this collection, okay? And you have to collect 60 unique elements, okay? Once you're able to complete this whole picture with the help of the single collection, or I would say the amount of collections, which are 60 of them, you will eventually get to the Somme, which is a tier 9 premium destroyer, the British destroyer, okay? So you have to complete the Battle of Somme collection from the Battle of Somme containers. With that said, let's talk about the Somme as well. So the reason why I am highly recommending the newer players to get the Somme, now it is a pretty much tech tree British destroyer Jutland, okay? You can find it out in the tech tree section in the British destroyer line, where you will be able to find out the Jutland, okay? At that place, you can just pretty much compare it with Jutland, but Somme is a premium destroyer, okay? And the premium destroyer gets many benefits. You can easily able to land unique commander, the legendary commander, Andrew Cunningham, which you might get it at later in the future if you are a new player, but you can just put any commander without retraining. Biggest benefit, okay? You can just grind out the British line and you can just put that captain onto the Somme. And the reason why I would recommend Somme itself, it's having the best flexibility of offensive and defensive capabilities. If I come up to the equipment section and the consumables area, you can see it has the best smokes in the game. In this current meta of World of Warships, you are going to get spotted by a class aircraft carriers, you are going to get spotted by other destroyers, and well, for that reason, you have short burst smoke generator, which just gonna be covering you in a smoke for maybe 40 seconds, so it's not gonna last long, but the cooldown time is relatively quick, and with the short burst smoke generator, you will just quickly disengage from maybe the enemy destroyer getting you spotted or the carrier getting you spotted. So this is like the best smokes in the game currently, okay? This will give you so much flexibility to disengage in very unfavorable position that you will just love it, okay? The Somme as a destroyer also comes up with a hydro. Now, I know for many destroyer players out there, if you get into the smoke and stay in the smoke, well, you know that there are going to be the chances of the enemy destroyers sending you the torpedoes in the smoke. And a lot of the newer players, even like me, have faced this issue where I will just simply eat them and not understanding this situation where the destroyer can do that. And so the hydroacoustic search that can spot torpedoes and the ships as well at 3 kilometers is amazing. With this short-range hydroacoustic search, you will just quickly able to spot the DDs, maybe if they are under 3 kilometers. But at least as a defensive tool, it will be a lot much more powerful, because then you will be almost assured that you will never going to eat torpedoes because of the spotting of torpedoes at 3 kilometers. Also, to improve the survivability even further, Somme is one of the, I would say rare destroyers out there. There are not a whole lot of destroyers in the game that have access to heal. The heal is an amazing thing. 3 heals on a destroyer is really good on top of its very decent HP at 21.5k. I mean, you can also improve it with this flag, Charlie Kilo, which I would highly recommend. So this will also gonna improve the heal a bit. This works kind of like that way. So I would say with the good survivability, with the short burst smoke generator and the hydro, means that defensive capabilities of Somme is some of the best in this game, without a doubt. And even then, it has access to guns which having fairly decent amount of damage per minute. Like DPM is still extremely good at tier 9, without a doubt. You have 6 guns, your reload time is I think like 4 seconds or 4.3 seconds, I don't exactly remember, but with the reload mod you can get it down to 3.8 seconds. At least with my build I managed to do it, and it is really nice. The destroyer is very comfortable. It has improved acceleration, by the way, that you find it very nice to, able to get out of the torpedoes that are coming towards you in smoke. So the firing range is also pretty decent, and the short burst smoke means that if any battleship pushing you, you can just farm it for like 30-40 seconds, and then you just come back, and then you just smoke up again, and then you just come back, and you just do the hit and run thing. That I find it the best way to play the Somme, or I would say any destroyer in general, but the Somme will perform best because of these short burst smoke generator. Good guns, the superstructure of the battleship will easily going to get penned with the 90mm pen, so no worry of that. You also have AP with improved AP angles as well as the short fuse, I would say, so that you will be easily able to, get onto the broadside destroyers and shoot the AP. The AP actually is something that you only going to find in Somme, or at least some destroyers, very few destroyers having this short fuse and good, AP angles, armor piercing angles, firing angles, where the destroyers, so not the firing angles, it's just the ricochet angles, where you just aim onto the destroyers, and then you will just going to get penetrations, not overpens, which usually destroyer gets if they shoot, because of the threshold that they will not going to meet. Usually it does not happen, you get a lot of overpens, but in this case with the AP you will get straight up pens, which means that the DPM that it has, 200k damage per minute, is just gonna make even life better. Like Somme will just even having more firepower to punch against destroyers with the broadside, with AP on DDs, just like I said. And you can also switch to HE if you want to. You can set fires with decent fire chance. So it has every tool to deal with. The guns are still excellent, considering that it has so much defensive utility and also this thing. And you also have torpedoes, there are 10 of them. So you are not missing out on anything. If you are thinking that you want to play a torpedo boat destroyer like Shimakaze, it has not these sort of defensive capabilities which Somme has. Repair party, hydro, and short smokes are not found on Shima. You have this on Somme, and then you have 5, at least you're still going to have 10 torpedoes, okay? And the interesting thing about the torpedoes that you can just single launch them one by one. So not 5 torpedoes at once if you may be looking at the Shimakaze gameplay somewhere, if you are a newer player. So you can either send 5 sets of torpedoes in total of 10, or you can just single launch one by one at the same time. 10-kilometer range is very good, so you're just gonna be able to have a lot much practice, very easy practice to learn how to play destroyers while having extremely good tools as well. And also it has pretty much for a very good aggressive, or I would say offensive and defensive capabilities, very good concealment at 5.7. You don't find it that good of a concealment. I mean, it kind of rivals against that those of torpedo boat destroyers. Like torpedo boat destroyers have better concealment simply because they need to have a good concealment. Otherwise, the gunboat destroyers will simply chew them up, and simply those destroyers will never going to get disengaged. So that's why they have better concealment. But in this case, the offensive capabilities are still so high, and still we have 5.7 kilometer concealment. That still makes them very good against those torpedo boat destroyers, and you can somehow manage to spot them relatively quickly because of this low concealment. And then you also have really good maneuverability, 3.4 seconds of rudder shift. Rudder shift time means that you will be turning really nicely. And then speed, it's something that you will not gonna be liking this. You don't have access to speed boost, unlike most destroyers in the game. Like, most destroyers have the speed boost. It does not have access to speed boost, but still, if I just really say about the Somme, it's still gonna be very easy and very good in terms of maneuverability, right? Anti-defense, if it's not having a good anti-defense, and you will be facing a lot of carriers, very strong carriers at higher tiers, and these short burst smoke generator are gonna be so much life-giving during that time when you are going to get spotted by carrier, that I cannot emphasize you enough. For a good player, for a newer player in this game, it's gonna be so much worth it to get these short burst smoke generator. So overall, because of these really good utilities, really good strengths, and I'm telling you, the guns are amazing, the torpedoes are really nice, and the defensive utilities that I have showcased you in the form of consumables are so good that I cannot recommend anything than Somme. There might be some destroyer that might have specialized strengths, somewhere better than Somme, but I would say Somme is like really, really good jack of all trades. Like, really, it's like having everything that you need on a destroyer in every situation. I must say, it is so good, at least in that regard, and hence the reason why you should definitely spend those, that coal on those containers, Battle of Somme containers, to complete the collection to get the Somme. 100%. It's definitely gonna be worth it. You will definitely gonna be loving this ship. It's so good, not only in ranked battles, but also in the in the random battles, but also in the ranked battle. Both battle types will be suited very, very well for Somme. 100%. And also, the reason why I am also going to recommend you this tier 9 Somme is going to be because it has the best credit earning potential. At tier 9 premium ship status that they have, like Somme, you have the best credit earning capability out of all other tiers. Even tier 10s does not have this really good credit earning capability compared to the tier 9, and even tier 8s does not have that credit earning capability like tier 9 premiums have. So tier 9 premiums does earn the highest amount of credits, and for exactly that reason, you should also invest on a tier 9 premium. Absolutely a must if you have very low on credits, and if you are looking to grind newer tech tree lines. I think this tier 9 Somme not only give you these stuff that I have showcased you I explained the strengths and weaknesses, but also, since it's a tier 9, you will get a whole lot of value because it will have reduced service cost as well as having a lot of potential in earning credits with these boosters that you have to spend on Somme. I would highly recommend you to spend the credit green ones, because the gray ones are not going to be giving you that value much, but once you have these green ones, the special bonuses, you will start to see some decent credit earning, and even blue ones are even more powerful. If you have it, spend it on this Somme and you will be getting a lot of credits per battle. So highly recommended, your first destroyer for coal. Alright, from the cruiser side, or I would say point of view, I would recommend at tier 10, Italian heavy cruiser, that is going to be Napoli. Now, the reason why Napoli is certainly one of the best goal investment from the cruiser point of view in the game is simply because it's one of the most tankiest cruiser unlike anything in the game. You have, for Italian cruiser, again, very good defensive, just like I told about the Somme. Also, you have these sort of defensive capabilities in the Napoli, as well as some good aggressive, or I would say offensive capabilities in the Napoli that would just make Napoli shine in not only in the randoms, but also in the ranked battles. Now, here's the reason why Napoli is good coal investment. First of all, you have the most, I would say, the special thing about this Italian cruiser. You get this thing on all the Italian ships, but Napoli is also no exception. The exhaust smoke generator, if you use it correctly, means that you will be able to disengage in smoke while not have to, maybe able to just slow down to stay in smoke. Instead, you can just stay, or I would say move at full speed to still have this smoke on top of you. Which means these exhaust smoke generator for, I would say, at least 48 seconds, the action time. It means that you will be just sailing at full speed and your smoke is just going to be covering you up. Means that you will be undetected unless you shoot the guns in the smoke, which have really good, I would say, firing guns in smoke detectability at 8.8. Considering that it has big caliber guns, just like I said, it's a heavy cruiser, it's a large cruiser, and even though it does have a big caliber guns, it still have really good, main battery firing guns in smoke penalty at 8.8 kilometer only, which is very, very impressive, to be honest. So with this, you will be shooting the guns in smoke and you will not going to get, or I would say get spotted. Also, you do have a fighter. Now, fighter, if you pop up against enemy CVs, it's just going to be helping so much to just limit their carrier strike to 1. Like, carrier have multiple strikes, right? If you are a new player, let me explain. Carriers have multiple strikes, and if you use the fighter, it will most likely limit the carrier striking capability to at least from 2 to 1. So, fighters are really interesting choice as well. It's separate. You just can pop up every single time when you need it against carriers, so that's really nice. You do have heals, which you'd find typically on tier 10 cruisers, so that is pretty good. You have defensive capabilities, at least in the consumable side, which I like. But now you have defensive capabilities which you don't find in many cruisers in the game, and that is in its armor layout. Its armor is some of the most tankiest for the cruiser in the game. You have 40mm and 60mm armor, 40mm deck, 60mm side. This armor cannot be overmatched by any battleship in the game. You don't need to fear about this overmatch that just literally pen you even if you are angled like this. No, the shells will only going to bounce unless they hit onto the bow or onto the stern. Now that is a typical weakness that they have given to cruisers so that they are not become tankier as good as battleships, okay? So unless they hit onto the 25mm armor, or unless you are pushing and a battleship know this weakness, you are going to be one of the most tankiest cruisers in the game. With the smoke already makes it pretty absurd in terms of tankiness. So that is like crazy good. And on top of that, you have these guns, 9 of them, which having really good AP that can citadel cruisers, like really good ability to citadel cruisers, most cruisers, even heavy cruisers in the game, and even you can citadel battleships once you are in like under 5-6 kilometers. So you can even citadel battleship if they have very vulnerable citadel. So the AP is impressive, the HE is impressive as well. So the guns are really nice. You have an 18% fire chance, 3.4k alpha, the shell velocity is pretty good, and the Napoli guns work such that you have to play a bit aggressive. So the Napoli gameplay or the strength relies that if you want to do more damage, you want to push in to the enemy team. And you do have a smoke and you do have this really nice armor to get through this, which does help a lot, okay? On top of that, to increase the fun factor if you are pushing into maybe an isolated battleship, because that's the way I would highly recommend to push into something. It's just like 1 versus 1, where Napoli is going to be so much powerful. And also, it's going to be very new player friendly just because of this really amazing armor. Also to improve some of the, or I would say to make the cruiser having more fun factor, they somehow managed to give secondaries which having 11km range. If you somehow manage to build the secondaries of the Napoli, which will automatically shoot onto the battleship with very, very impressive accuracy. It has one of the best accuracy in terms of secondary cruiser in the game. The secondaries are amazing. They have semi-armor piercing secondaries, which are also very unique. You have a range of 11km with the captain skill and the upgrades. So that will make Napoli so much fun if you are pushing it on. The secondaries DPM is also very nice. You just have a lot of damage coming along the way if the sap is shooting on that target, and you can smoke yourself up. It's just going to make your life so much fun. The game started to feel so much amazing to play and watch for your own self. It's just going to make this ship so good. And you also have torpedoes. You also have, probably for a heavy cruiser, best concealment as well. Like 10.3 kilometer concealment is something that you started to get very close to that of light cruisers. Light cruisers usually have like 9 to 9.5 kilometer, so it's not very far from the from those cruisers. For example, if you might take a look at German tier 10 cruiser Hindenburg, it has 12 point something concealment. The Venezia also have like 12 point something concealment, which is like a tech tree counterpart. It's also having the exhaust smoke generator, and it has some interesting things, obviously, which I will not gonna explain here, but it has worse concealment than Napoli. So Napoli has insanely good concealment for the tankiness that it has on top of the consumables that it has. So anti-defense against carriers, you might struggle, at least with the AA guns that it has. It has pretty mediocre AA guns, but then again, just like I said, you have the fighter in terms of the defensive capability. That does help a bit, for sure. 100% it does help a bit, shooting down some planes, limiting the carrier strike to 1, because that's the the reason why fighter is going to help you in the first place. It's not going to prevent the strikes, but at least it's going to limit the strike from 2, 3, or maybe 4 to maybe like 2 or 1. So it's just going to limit that. And with that said, Napoli is a great package. It's a really, really good cruiser. Now, it's not going to earn credits like Somme, which is that tier 9, but it's really so good and tanky and so much fun that you cannot miss out on this tier 9 cruiser. If you want to invest on a cruiser, consider buying a Napoli. It's just going to be so enjoyable. The armor is so tanky, you will definitely going to feel it if you have played some other cruisers, and I would definitely recommend Napoli just exactly for these reasons that I have explained above. And by the way, it has HE shells, so remember that. So it's pretty unique, unlike other Italian Tech 3 cruiser or battleship that has SAP shells. So it's definitely at least having this interesting factor as well. So with that out of the way, Napoli, highly recommended for coal investment for a cruiser. Alright, for a battleship that you should invest for coal, I would have a bit difficult choice between Iwami and the Kearsarge. Kearsarge is also very interesting tier 9 battleship. I must say, it's also a very good coal investment, but again, I don't like the armor scheme of the Kearsarge, especially for the first investment, and especially there might be new players out there. I would say if you are not a new player, I might recommend Kearsarge, but I would say for all the players that that just started the game and have the first coal ship that they are going to pick, I would say Iwami is definitely one of the finest tier 9 Japanese battleship that Wargaming has released. Now, why Iwami? First of all, tier 9. Tier 9 premium means that it will earn you more credits per battle compared to tier 10 and tier 8s. So definitely that's a big advantage for a coal resource battleship. That's the first thing. Second thing is the guns are pretty good and relatively reliable. You have 2.1 Sigma with 8 of these guns having decent reload time. I don't exactly remember. It might be like 27 seconds or 28 seconds or 26 seconds of reload time, which is pretty nice considering it can overmatch 27mm plating. Now, overmatch means simple that it's gonna penetrate cruiser armor plating of 27mm regardless of the angling, which for 410mm guns is very nice. With the good accuracy, with the good firing range at 22.3 kilometers, with the good HE, if somehow you find a battleship that is kinda angled, you will try to shoot HE on them with this really good alpha at 6.5k with 30% fire chance, which is relatively decent, not super impressive, but it's still good regardless. You will find Iwami guns to be pretty good against battleship on broadside. The AP pen is good. The cruisers will take huge damage if they have slim armor plating, and also your survivability is good at 80k. Your torpedo protection is good at 37%. So everything about the Iwami is pretty nice. Your armor is very good. It's not tanky like crazy, but still it does not have that big of a superstructure either. It's like having this big center 19mm plating superstructure, which if you just in a kiting position, you will be able to get a lot of shatters from the cruisers because of this 50mm armor plating. And you do have some good resistance against battleship shells unless they are shooting 460mm guns like Yamato. Otherwise, the armor is pretty tanky with this 50mm deck armor, okay? So I would say Iwami is relatively tanky because of that, and also it has the good offensive capabilities. Also, one thing to mention that it is one of the most interesting battleships out there that has access to 20-kilometer torpedoes that does 21k damage. So these are the torpedoes that you might find on Shimakaze, a tier 10 tech 3 destroyer, and you have 4 of them on each side. And the funny thing is they are 20 kilometers, so you can just send them onto a battleship and you might get a hit onto a battleship. And even then, if you are playing very, very much at close ranges, if you are very close to a battleship, you can just send these 4 torpedoes from one side, and you can just delete almost more than half of his HP because of this insane alpha that it has. So these torpedoes are also very good in the defensive capabilities as well as in the offensive capabilities in some way or the other. Anti-defense against carrier is gonna be weak, I have to say, but there are not a whole lot of good battleships out there that will be so good against carriers. So I would say, at least in terms of anti-defense, if you have issues with carriers, I think this battleship might not be for you. But at least in terms of the gun performance, at least the uniqueness of it has with the torpedoes, and also it has, sort of decent maneuverability at concealment, which you can improve it to like 13 kilometer, which is relatively nice. Now, I didn't build it for concealment, and hence the reason why you are seeing 14.3 kilometer, but you should build it for that if you want to. So with the good concealment, with the good guns, and also unique thing is going to be the secondaries. Like, these are decently accurate secondary. Now you can get this secondary range up to 10.5 kilometer if I'm not wrong. 10.5 kilometer range if you want to build it for secondaries, if I can show you quickly here. Now, at least for me, I haven't built fully for secondaries because it's not a brawler. It's not something that has something going for it as a brawler, but secondaries are extremely still good regardless. If you want to fully build Iwami for secondaries, you can do that, but I haven't done that. I have missed out this secondary range skill, and hence the reason why you might see the secondaries only up to 9.2 kilometer, but I'm quite sure you can increase it up to 10.5 kilometer, which is actually an extra strength, at least especially against destroyers at 5 and 6 kilometers. They will just gonna do so much damage. So you have some sort of defense against destroyers, at least if they caught completely off guard, very close ranges, then these secondaries will definitely gonna do so much damage to them, which is always a nice thing. So they also have improved secondary accuracy, if I'm not wrong. So definitely that is something that you should also keep in mind. So overall, it's a good battleship. It's a good package that does have very good strengths, very minimal weaknesses, not a whole lot of weaknesses. The armor is decent, the guns are decent. Everything that you want to get on a single battleship at tier 9 that can earn you solid credits per battle is something that I would recommend, highly recommend, for especially newer players or the players that are going to invest the coal resource first time or second time. Iwami is the ship to go for sure as a battleship player. I accidentally said the name about the German, or I would say I accidentally said the name about the first investment on submarine. Well, I think you just can simply close your eyes, and if you want to invest at least on a submarine, I think this German UrAvgWarGamer is pretty powerful. I don't want to explain its strengths, but I would say if you are looking to play a submarine, and you can just go and check out the gameplays, I would say this submarine is only available for coal, so I think it's a no-brainer, and it's actually a very, very, very good submarine. Really powerful tier 10 submarine. If you are looking into this gameplay, although I would highly not recommend to do this, it's not worth it to play submarines right now when you have battleship, destroyers, and cruisers to pick from. So just don't do that. But again, if anyone out there who's just playing it for submarines, here it is. You have a tier 10 UrAvgWarGamer. If you want to have it, it has some interesting things going for it. Just gonna explain you briefly. You have the reserve battery unit that does have extra battery, so you will have extra units, which helps a lot to survive, or I would say stay in the water for long. You have heals, which is unlike most, I would say, submarines in the game. You also have submarine surveillance, 6 kilometer. You also have hydrophone, which does help in spotting ships under 8 kilometer. You have torpedoes that are pretty hard hitting. They only can use ping torpedoes, so you don't have any standard torpedoes like other submarines. So that's one thing that you should be keeping in mind. So overall, with the insane concealment at 5.4 kilometer, the best underwater speed in the game that it has for UrAvgWarGamer is also very impressive. Like, no submarine has this maximum under submerged speed at 37.8 other than UrAvgWarGamer. So it has a lot of things still going for it. It's a really good submarine. So I think I would simply end the video by just recommending you the Somme. If you want to get Somme, highly recommended. If you want to get the cruiser, I would say I have explained that, and the battleship I also have explained that. So thank you guys for watching. I just want to make sure that whatever you are investing, it's gonna be pretty decent and it's gonna be worth it for your investment of coal. And I think I just explained everything that you need to know. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on that. If you are the players from the subscription, you can also comment me down below if you have watched the video. Until then, I will catch you guys into the next one. Peace out, and thank you guys for watching.